Good evening and welcome to the 44th edition of the LIVRESQ Empower Your Teaching webinar. I'm very glad to be here. It is an interesting meeting. We're going to talk about metadata and how to correctly describe your project, how to make it discoverable in the LIVRESQ library. It's an interesting topic. It won't take very long. I just want to clarify the type of information you can fill in and where that information will appear according to whether you're posting your lesson, your open educational resource on the LIVRESQ platform, or whether you are using it on an LMS. The way our meetings work generally is that we will either, so you can either see me right now on Zoom or live on Facebook. If you can't watch these meetings live, then you can always watch a recording of this on YouTube. And I know the majority of you are watching us on YouTube as a recording. We upload the recordings after the broadcast. If you're watching a recording, you can leave a comment and we'll get back to you. And if you're watching us live, if you're on Zoom, you can turn on your microphone, ask a question, or write it in chat. And if you are watching us on Facebook, I'm following the chat as well, and we can discuss it there. So this is very specific to metadata. I'll describe this a little bit in the beginning. And then if you have questions or if you want me to talk about something else, if you have other questions related to LIVRESQ, you can 100% ask me. There's usually a section towards the end where I ask you to ask me questions. But again, if there's something that I'm explaining that's not clear or that you want more information on related to what's on the screen, then I can 100% answer you, no problem. So I'll just share my screen in the LIVRESQ library, first of all, just to explain a little bit about what we mean by metadata. So right now you can see the front page of the LIVRESQ library. And just give me 1 second to arrange everything so that I can see the comments and everything, and the chats, all of them. All right. So this is what the LIVRESQ library looks like. This is where we publish the lessons or the courses that we create in LIVRESQ. We offer 3 hosting in the LIVRESQ library, but you can also, because this is an e-learning authoring tool, you can also create or publish these courses in your LMS of choice, including Moodle, our very own Coffee LMS, or any other LMS you work with, because you can export in multiple versions of SCORM. So the options are you create a course or a lesson. We call them lessons, especially in terms of education and working with teachers. So you can create e-learning content that you can either use in your own LMS or you can publish for free in the LIVRESQ library. And this is what the library looks like. It offers 100% free access. I'll post it in the Zoom chat. You can browse it. Most of the lessons that are present there are currently in Romanian, but we have some in English, especially English language lessons. We have some in English content in general and other languages as well, because the interface is actually translated in multiple languages, and we have interface even inside the courses that is translated in multiple languages. The thing about the LIVRESQ library is the fact that it can be accessed for free without an account. So if you create materials for your students and you don't have an LMS to host them on, and if you use the LIVRESQ library, we don't store information on the students. So they don't need accounts. It's just a link that they access and they can go through the content without any restrictions, without having to get an account. Besides this, it is a huge library. It says here more than 79,000 materials that have been published or interactive publications. This is the total number of projects, and it's actually a bit larger now. I think close to 85,000. The total number of projects of e-learning content that our users have created and have exported to the library. Out of this, it's the user's choice whether it's public or not, and it's also the user's choice on whether they want to turn a material into a template, make it editable. If a material is public, so if I can find it by searching here or by going under publications and looking through these filters and finding the material that I want, if it's all public, then it's also it has the included source, which means that I can edit it, so I can use it as a starting point for my own creation. That means it's an open educational resource. Not everything is in the LIVRESQ library is an OER, an open educational resource, but a lot of the materials are. So if I put source included here, everything here is an open educational resource. And the reason why I talked a little bit about the whole concept of OER and the fact that we can edit some materials and the fact that we can find them by using keywords or by using these filters is because this is where the metadata is really important in terms of the LIVRESQ library. Because the metadata is information that the user provides, and it helps us find lessons, find content easier. So if I click on the language here and I wanted to find English language content that has the source editable, if the user filled in this information correctly, then I should only find lessons in English or bits of content in English. Again, lessons, content, since we're talking about e-learning content, it's a loose sort of description on what term we use. Some of it, I mean, most of it is in English, so most of it was filled in correctly. I'll just go into Dorian Gray, personal favorite of mine. This was a biased decision. I haven't checked this before, so this is exactly, I mean, this is new for me as well. And what we access first is this metadata page. It's all of the information. For some reason, it's taking a little bit to load. It's all of the information that the user decided to post about this. So this is not the lesson. This is not the educational content, the e-learning content itself. It's kind of like a cover. There's an image here that tells us, that indicates, the topic of what the lesson is going to be about. We have the title, the name of the teacher or the person who created it, and then some information like the table of contents, a little bit of a description. We also have it in Romanian below, some keywords as well. So this is all the information that can help me find the material more easily in the LIVRESQ library. And because this is an open educational resource, and I clicked that it has a source as well, that it has a public source, it means that I can edit it. If I click on open here, I can see what the teacher filled in and what the material looks like. So I have a little bit of text in Romanian about the competencies, and then we have some information about Oscar Wilde. This is a genially that the teacher integrated inside the lesson. We have a tabs resource. This is local to LIVRESQ, a link to Kahoot. We could have included this, embedded this Kahoot in the lesson as well. That's possible. We have a video and we can keep navigating. This was the navigation of choice. It doesn't have to be like this. We can have assistance. We can have, so it's up to the teacher, whatever they build here and whatever resources they include. So they decide what to add. They decide how to structure. This looks AI generated. No, actually, it's a picture. I've seen too many images generated with AI, and probably that's why I think of everything. So again, another genially that I can go through, and it's 100% interactive. Then we have some quizzes that I can navigate. We can have these buttons in English or in any other language as well. So a lot of things that the teacher has introduced. And maybe I want to create a similar material. Maybe I want to also talk about Dorian Gray, but I don't need a few of the genialities that they've included here. Or I want to add another video, or I want to change the structure a little bit. Because I have this edit source button, this will duplicate this material and it will send me inside the author, and I can now use the material that the teacher created as a starting point. And now everything is editable. I can change the text, I can change whatever else she added here. 100% this is editable, and we are now in the LIVRESQ editor. Of course, we need an account for this. We don't need an account to see what's public in the library or whatever is published in the library, but we do need an account to edit and to change different aspects. Now, the reason I showed you this in our discussion about metadata is because this information appears in the metadata section, first of all, and second of all, if I start from the work of another teacher, In the metadata, this will appear here under history. So if we go to history, if this lesson had been created based on another lesson, if there had been an original lesson this was started from, then that initial lesson would be linked here with the name of the author, with the original title, and with a link to the original lesson. So this is how the metadata page works in LIVRESQ. It's the page where I can see all of the information and all of that information that the teacher adds, because I'll show you in a second how we edit and how we add these bits of information. This is things that they've selected. And then under history, I can see whether this material was original or if somebody else created an initial version. I can edit the source if the teacher decided to do this, and this is 100% your decision. So if you want to create materials, but you don't want people to be able to edit them, then you don't have to do this. But again, it won't be an open educational resource. And of course, I can open it, view it. I can send this link forward to whoever I want to send it to, my students, or I can just use it in class as it is. In order to edit the metadata, so very quickly, these are the sections. This is where I edit the content. I can edit assistance, the table of contents, preferences. We have previous videos where we go through each and every one of those menus. But for the metadata, we go under here. And we can see what the teacher has filled in here. So we have the image. This is the cover image that they've selected. We can change that image to whatever we want. We can change the title by clicking here and then clicking rename. We can add ourselves as the author. We can change, if we've made a lot of changes, we can change the author's name. Again, the original author will be present in the history in the LIVRESQ library. This is, sorry, I just covered a bit of your screen. This is where the table of contents appears. This is taken automatically from the table of contents that was generated for the lesson. It doesn't have a title though. I'll delete it altogether when we start talking about how to add everything. This is my description. These are my keywords. Now, something that is not very intuitive in terms of metadata in LIVRESQ is the fact that the first line is always the title, something that this teacher here didn't quite grasp as well either. So it's really important to note this. The first line is the title. So right now my table of contents appears there without a title. So I should say table of contents here. Sorry, I wasn't writing table of contents. I was writing something else. Table of contents or whatever you want to call it. If I want to delete an item, I can click on remove field. If I want to add it again, I can add a new field by clicking one of the blue fields here. So I have the title, I can add a simple text field. I can add the table of contents, which I've just done, the keywords, and attachments. If you want students or whoever's accessing the lesson to be able to download a file before they access the lesson, which is useful maybe for exam prep, where you want them to download a document without accessing the lesson, that's 100% possible. Once I've added something, if I don't need it, I can remove it. First line is always the title, which means again that here I should write contents or table of contents. If I wanted to add a description, this is my title, the description, or more details. Or what is the lesson about? This is my title. What is the lesson about? And here I'd have the actual content, description. This is where the content appears, essentially. And for keywords, again, the first line, she wrote literature here. This is the Romanian word for literature. The first line is always the title. So I would write keywords or any other way you want to call keywords. And then I add each keyword by using a plus sign. So 19th century literature would go, and she did that. So she's added multiple keywords by using the plus sign. So what I change, I deleted that, my own field, because we have this. What I change is just add keywords here for the title. We'll leave this description as it is. This is the title for the description, a little bit long. We'll leave it like this. And I'll add myself as the author. I'll just say LIVRESQ. And then once I've completed all of this information according to what I want to add, I can just export it to the LIVRESQ library. So if there are any questions related to either you're on Facebook or if you're on Zoom, if you have any questions related to how we fill in this information, please let me know. Again, the main idea is something that is probably, and we're working on making this a little bit more intuitive, the fact that the first line is always the title. Where it says text name, it's the title of that field. Where it says table of contents name, it's the title of the table of contents. We can hover the mouse over and we have the remove field button, the little garbage can, and we can change the order by dragging and dropping. From the left-hand side, there's this little line, line that appears, and we can drag and drop the content to change the order, because this is exactly what it will look like in the LIVRESQ library. Now, according to the LMS you're using, it may display more or less of this information. So it may display fewer fields. Usually all LMS systems, or all LMSs, will display the cover image and the title. Some of them display the authors as well. Some of them display a little description. It depends really on the specific on each LMS specifically. For Moodle, for instance, I know it's mostly just the title and the cover image. Sometimes I think there's a way you can display the description as well. All of these fields, the possibility to add attachments, other types of descriptions, the table of contents, these work for the LIVRESQ library. And once I've finished filling in all of this information, I have the export button down here. So again, this is after I've finished adding all of my content, changing all of the settings that I want to change, and I'm at the very end of creation of developing this material. I've added the metadata, and here I have the publish options. On free accounts, your only option is to publish to library. On paid accounts, you can also download SCORM. Again, there are multiple versions of SCORM you can pick from, and this depends on the LMS that you're using, what kind of SCORM the LMS prefers or works best with. We can publish to library. We can download the HTML package, which is essentially kind of like a website. We can generate a PDF. This is an option that is nice to have if you need to maybe print out your material. If it becomes a PDF, however, it's no longer interactive. So you won't be able to click on things, and you won't see hidden content. You won't see videos, obviously. So this is just if you need an outline of your material for one reason or the other, to print maybe. We offer that possibility. And then, again, the reason why we're here, or what we mostly talk about, is the fact that you can publish to library. And if you have a pro account, you have the opportunity to share your source. This is the discussion this is what I was mentioning in the beginning, the fact that we are not obligated to make it editable. If we want it to be an open educational resource, then yes, we need to offer people the possibility to edit, to start from our work and edit it further. If we don't, then that's fine. We don't need to check this. But this checkbox is only available for pro accounts. So I check this because obviously I started from the lesson of another teacher. I want other teachers to be able to develop on it. I'll click on confirm, and then this will export to the LIVRESQ library. But in the first instance, it's private. Only I can see it, and also the people, whoever I send the link to. So if I want to send a link to my students, the link will generate in a second, but if you lose this link, that's okay. I'll show you how to get to your lesson in a bit. So this is the link that's given me. It's a library link, not an author link. This is what my material looks like. The only thing that I haven't filled in from the settings is this classification here that the original material had filled in. But here is where I can choose the age, I can choose the category, maybe it's an interactive lesson, I can choose the grade, in case if it's for a certain grade. maybe we can find modern languages, English. These are specific to the Romanian system. So we have information to do with the classification that helps us filter out information. This is where you edit it from at the very end. So right now it's telling me that the source is included, but it's not public, which means that if somebody searches for this material, they won't be able to find it. Only people who have this link are able to access the material that I just published. And under history, I can see the original material that was published, what I started from. And this is not something I can delete in any way. So if you decide to share your source and publish to the LIVRESQ library, you will always be credited. It'll always be, we have the date when it was initially published and the fact that it started from there. So it's my choice if I want to share the source and let other people edit my copies of my work, obviously not my original work. And I can also request to publish, which sends a request to a member of our team, a real person who checks each material manually. It's now, we don't use AI for this. We don't use any form of automatic system. And the information that we check, or the things that we check, is first of all, that there isn't any inappropriate content, because this is an educational platform. A lot of children access it. And I mean children from kindergarten all the way up to adults and courses for companies and so on and so forth. So this needs to be all content that is appropriate for all ages. And then the editors of the library also look in the metadata and see if there is at least some information filled in so that the lesson is actually discoverable in the publications. Because otherwise, our purpose is to build a truly valuable library of educational content, both in English and Romanian and any other languages. And for that, metadata is very, very important, because if we want other people to be able to use the materials we publish, then and have it be open educational resources, then this information needs to be filled in responsibly. It needs to be true information, and it needs to help other users discover that material. And this is why we pay extra attention to this, and we make sure that everything is filled in. Obviously, we cannot oversee the content itself, how correct it is. That would require, we have hundreds of lessons that are published daily, and that would require an effort that just a few humans would never be able to do, but we do check these factors. So the fact that the content is appropriate and that we have enough information to be able to find these lessons easily. If you don't want to maybe fill in too much, or if you don't want your lesson to be public, then that's fine. Right now, I didn't even submit my request. Again, right now, only people who have access, who I give this link to, will be able to find my the material I created. The history is still visible, so even if you can see a material, whoever accesses the material will see that it started from someone else's work. Okay, so this is kind of everything that we have on metadata and what its use is. If you have any questions either related to this or any other topic related to LIVRESQ or education in general, I hope I'll be able to answer. Please ask either by turning on your mic if you're here on Zoom, or writing a comment on Facebook, or again, writing a comment if you're watching a recording of this on YouTube. So are there any questions? I'll just wait for a couple of seconds to make sure. If there aren't any questions in the meantime, we meet here every 2 weeks on Thursdays at 6:30 CET, Central European Time. Our purpose is to discuss little features of LIVRESQ, so it's not very overwhelming, not very long. It's a quick meeting. Our purpose, so first of all, is to introduce bits and pieces of LIVRESQ, but also to answer your questions and to create this database of tutorials that you can access on YouTube at any time, so that things are clearer. And LIVRESQ is a tool that is truly easy to use. And also, of course, you have access to us and you can ask us any questions. And if there are very, very complicated questions, then we can go to one of our programmers and I'm sure they can come back with a better answer than I can. But generally, it's been a few years, so I think I can answer a lot of the questions related to LIVRESQ. All right. I'm glad we sort of used Dorian Gray here. If you have one more thing, so if you've created an account in English, then most likely you get an email for whenever these meetings happen. Now, if there are no questions, can you explain how to do a table of matters? You mean just a table in a text resource? What kind of matters? What kind of table? I need a few more details.
Yes, in a resource.
I can hear you now. Can you speak again, please?
In a resource.
In a resource, yes. So we can add tables in the text resource. This is the easiest way to show you. So I just added a text resource by dragging and dropping. This is in Romanian because the project was in Romanian initially. Let me do it on an empty project. It's easier. So this is a blank project. I have no content. Just these instructions here that I can delete. I'm going to add a text resource. And inside this text resource, I'll delete what's already here. And once I double click a text resource, then I have all this text editing menu. And one of the options here is table. So I can add a table. I can tell the platform that I needed to have 3 rows, 2 columns. I can change other settings as well, the alignment, things that I can change after as well, the border size. So everything to do with advanced properties or general properties of the table appears here. Once I click OK, once I filled in all the information and I click OK, I have my table and I can fill in the information. You can also copy paste tables that you've created in other apps. It works from Word, it works from Excel, and there are Google counterparts, Google Docs, Sheets. So that's fine. You can copy paste tables. If you want to do advanced table editing, you also have access to the HTML source of the text resource. Now, the reason why I showed you this on the text resource is the same menu for text editing that actually allows us to do more than tables. It allows us to add formulas. We have a very complex formula editor. You can work in LaTeX as well. You can add images as well. All of these settings are present in all other resources, not just in text, because it's the same menu. So if I wanted to add a table in a quiz, for instance, if I go into quiz editing mode, wherever I have text, I have the same menu. So I can add table essentially 99% of places where I can add text in LIVRESQ. There are very few, so it's a little bit difficult to add text in the metadata for tables in the metadata, for instance. But inside my section, wherever I have text, I can add a table using the same option. So I just click on table here, configure it, then click OK. And then I can edit it for further by selecting it and going into table properties. So I selected it, I right-clicked on it, and I have more options to insert cells before, similar to any other text editing software. Table properties if I want to change things, and so on. Is that okay? Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Great. So there are no other questions. Thank you so much for joining me. I am excited to see you back here in 2 weeks' time. Again, if you're watching a recording, leave a comment. We'll get back to you. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Well, of course, according to where you are. And I'll see you back in 2 weeks. Thank you so much.